flag in the air, and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to your NASCAR preview, DFS, and final bets. I am your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me to break everything down, give you some bets, and figure all this NASCAR stuff out is Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
What's up, Kyle? Yeah, I'm excited to get into this Roval race. It's the last race of the round of 12. There's a lot of guys on the cusp of a lot of big names on the cusp of being eliminated here. And of course, one of my least favorite drivers is sitting on the pole.
You love to see it. You just absolutely love to see it. As Brian mentioned, Joey Logano did get the pole. Qualifying is in the books, and that's why we are back to break it all down for you. Let's hop right into it, Brian. Let's talk some DraftKings. Let's look at some pricing, and let's try and keep staying in the green. You know, we've been just cashing these lineups. No huge winners, but you know, keeping that green, those green numbers showing up is not the worst thing in the world. We'll start in the 10K range where we have 4 drivers with Chase Elliott starting 9th, Tyler Reddick starting 4th, Kyle Larson starting 18th, and Denny Hambone starting 24th. I guess when you're looking at this 10K range, and you know, this kind of, we've been so into like super speedways and really just pounding the back of the leaderboard this week. I feel like we have to kind of have a little more balance in our lineups. For sure. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, it's going to be probably close to 70%, but Chase Elliott starting 9th at the top of the board to me in this group is the one that makes the most sense. Yep. I mean, you're getting 5 placements or 5 starting positions at, behind Reddick for just $100 more. So I feel like going Elliott is the move. Yep, I agree. Especially as the betting favorite, I think that makes a lot of sense. He could easily get to the front in stage 1 and lead a ton of laps, dominate the field, and win the race. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't hate going to Kyle Larson. He and Hamlin both didn't qualify great, but Larson's been so good on, you know, road courses. Obviously, you know, the Roval's a little bit different, but definitely has a lot of those elements, and just is a really smart in terms of technical driving and just kind of that kind of stuff. I think he's so good there. So, you know, pairing those guys, I think, makes a lot of sense. The 9K range is interesting. A lot of guys starting near the front, including William Byron starting 2nd. Your guy Ryan Blaney starting 6th. The aforementioned Joey Logano on the pole at 9,600. Dinger the Ringer 9,400 started 7th. Your other guy Christopher Bell starting 8th. And Ross Chastain starting 10th at the even 9K. Interesting range. A lot of potential opportunities there. Also an interesting way, if you want to be a little bit unique, is just kind of crossing off the 9K range and avoiding it completely. What are your thoughts on kind of how you're going to attack this?
I on that point, like that's something I hadn't even considered. I almost feel like, kind of in the same breath, you're either going to go with somebody in the 10K range and then probably have to skip just in terms of salary this 9K range, or you're going to skip all those guys in the 10K and maybe you double up with 2 guys in this range with like a Blaney and a Chastain, both starting, you know, mid or towards the back of the top 10, and both have a good chance to win the race. And I mean, I really like Blaney. He's shown it multiple times this year at road courses that as long if he can keep tires on the car or avoid being wrecked, like he's been pretty good at these tracks. And then of course, Dinger the Ringer, he won the Xfinity race. Like, this guy's got a full-time ride next year. I almost feel like that's going to help relieve some stress driving in Cup Series events. So maybe that'll help him drive maybe better for the entire race. Like, it'll be interesting to see how that happens, but 9,400 starting 7th, he's always good at road courses.
Yep. And I think a little less pressure, a little less, I have to be perfect out here or else I'm not going to be able to drive next year. But yeah, it's going to be really comfy to get to a lot of these guys. So, you know, passing on Elliott and Reddick and Larson and just picking a couple of these 9K guys will feel really nice. It doesn't really feel like there's a massive difference. Obviously over on the betting board, like they're all within that kind of elite tier. So it makes a lot of sense. I could see a lot of people just crossing off that 10K range. So if you're able to start with two 10K guys like Elliott and Larson, or Reddick and Hamlin, and then kind of going from there, I think you could make some little unique lineups for sure. If I am diving in, obviously Dinger makes a ton of sense. Your guy Blaney makes a ton of sense. I don't hate going to Byron. I think he could, I have an outright ticket on him. Looked great in qualifying. I think he'll be really strong. And Christopher Bell, another guy that I really like, another guy that always seems to do pretty well. So makes a lot of sense. The next range is kind of interesting. We'll start Martin Truex starting 19th at 8,800. Not the same road course guy that we've seen in the past, but always compelling option, especially where he's starting. Could be a popular option. Behind him, we have Austin Cindric starting 5th. Daniel Suarez starting 3rd, who we talked about him a little bit in his road course recent history and how much better he's been. So that is another interesting option. And then we have two guys starting a little bit further back in Chase Briscoe and Kyle Busch, 17th and 20th respectively. If you're diving into the 8K range, where are you going?
Well, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I'm just skipping right over Martin Truex Jr. He just hasn't shown me enough this year at any track type, really. And I mean, the wheels have fallen off towards the back end, so I'd be skipping over him. Cindric at 8,600, starting 5th. Like if we like Blaney or even Logano starting on the pole in their 9K range, Cindric is another guy who's been incredible at these road courses and is always competing for a win. And you could save $1,000 on him for your salary. And then I think somebody that may go under rostered is Daniel Suarez, starting 3rd at 8,500. He's a guy. He's 3 top 5s at road courses this season, so it's not like should be surprising to anybody. He finished 13th at the Roval last year. Like he's improving as a driver, and this Trackhouse team has really shown us some things this season, and they're starting to drive better over the last few races in the playoffs too.
Yeah, I think, especially if you're going to skip over this 9K range with a lot of guys starting near the front, I think both Cindric and Suarez make a hell of a lot of sense. Maybe you grab a Larson. You can even go Larson Hamlin, and then kind of use your double dominators from this range and kind of have a very unique lineup. I think that makes a ton of sense. Kyle Busch is always somebody that I gravitate towards, but he's just, I don't know. Ever since the whole, he's not going to be with the team next year. I don't know. He seems less than invested. The 7K range is fun. Kevin Harvick starting 22nd. Our guy Chris Buescher starting 21st. 7,800 is going to be really easy click for me. I don't hate Noah Gragson starting 29th at 7,600. Eric Jones 26, probably not somebody that I love, but definitely has some potential. Just not super high upside. Michael McDowell starting 11th, I like at 7,300. Bubba starting 14th at 7,200 is kind of nice. And your guy Keselowski starting 31st at 7K. What are we doing with the 7K range?
I mean, I got to stick true to my word, and Chris Buescher starting 21st is a tremendous value. The only issue now in DK is that he's going to be rostered a ton, probably like 40, 50%, I would assume, just kind of with everybody knowing how good he's been at the road courses. I like your call on Gragson a little bit. I mean, Eric Jones has not really done the greatest at road courses, so he's probably a skip over for me. But I think the surprising one, again, like I was talking crap on him earlier in the week, but Bubba Wallace qualifying 14th. Like we've seen it this season. He's become a better driver at pretty much every track type. He's got plenty of speed. It's just whether or not he can put together a whole race like he did. I think it was the Indy road course where he top 10, but like he's boom or bust at these tracks this season. He's got one good finish. So, I mean, if you're banking on that again, he's probably going to go under rostered.
Yeah, and I think, if you like someone like Buescher, like we obviously will, pairing him with somebody like Bubba Wallace or skipping to, Cindric or Suarez as your dominator is a good way to make sure you're not eating too much of the chalk. But there is going to be some good chalk to you're going to want to get into your lineups. And Even if he is popular, depending on the contest, I think he will be worthwhile. I also still like McDowell a lot. I think he can absolutely win this week. And starting 11th, I like him as a potential dominator, stage 2, stage 3. The next range inside it, as we dip below 7K, Austin Dillon starting 15th at 6,900. Cole Custer had a nice showing, starting 12th at 67. Ty Gibbs starting 16th at 65. Almirola starting 37th at 6,400. I know he hasn't been the greatest at road courses, but starting 37th, if you can sneak a top 20 out of him, I think you're going to be pretty happy at 6,400. Justin Haley had a nice performance, starting 13th at 6,200, and then Recchi Spinouts himself starting 25th at an even 6K. Are you picking anybody out of this range to find a home in your lineups?
It feels like cherry picking, but Almirola starting 37th at only 6,400. I know he didn't really get a chance to run his qualifying, but even if he's in a backup car or he's driving kind of crappy equipment, he's probably going to finish better than the top 30. So, I mean, you're almost guaranteed like at least close to 10 placement points. So I think he makes a lot of sense, especially at that low of a salary with little risk to him getting worse.
Right. No, I just, and he obviously it'll be an easy pick and, easy for someone to go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Let me grab a guy I know. But I just starting 37th. I think a top 20 is within his range of outcomes. And, I think he makes too much sense. Trying to convince myself that Todd Gilliland is an option as we dive into the 5K range, and we'll go all the way through the end. So we have Joey Hand at 5,900. I think makes some sense. Starting 27th, another road course ringer. Todd Gilliland starting 32nd. Harrison Burton, Ty Dillon, Corey LaJoie, and then a bunch of randos. If you're looking to save salary, who's the name or two that you want to convince yourself could actually be in play?
Well, I'm gonna fully admit here that I don't know anything about these guys. This is all scuttlebutt that I've heard from socials and other chats, but that Kvyat and Hesmans, I know they're in kind of crappy equipment, but Kvyat, I believe he comes from road racing or
he's a former F1 driver. I tried to do that one of these races, and
but 4,800, and he actually didn't put together that bad of a qualifying lap. He was a little bit over 2 seconds behind the leader. So I mean, that's really not that good. However, that means that he'll probably stay on the lead lap. And if there's any wrecks, and he'll be out of the way of other people's wrecks. So, I mean, you could get a top 30 out of him for $4,800, and you're probably getting 20 to 25 points. To me, that's a good, safe option.
Yeah.
Especially if you wanted to go double up at the 10K range or load up on 9 and 8K guys.
Yeah, if you're gonna go sub 5K, I think Daniel Kvyat and Louis Hezemans or Loris Hezemans.
Yeah, and let me just apologize for I probably butchered both.
Oh, we're absolutely murdering their names. It's fine. 36th, 4,500, and like you mentioned, if you want to go up to that 10K range and find some options, I think it makes sense. So with that being said, let's go up to the top. Let's start with our lineup, and I'll let you have the tee, and you get to make the first selection. Are we just going to throw Chase Elliott in and go from there?
I feel like we've done it too many times where we skip over the favorite. So I don't know. Maybe this is the week that we do it right.
I think this is how we start our lineup, and we'll figure it out from there.
With the two probably biggest chalk guys there are.
Yeah, but this is where we'll find our difference. So. Yeah, so we can either skip the 9K range and try and squeeze another 10K guy in like Larson, or we can go down to the 8K range and try and get two of these guys. And what do you want to do? Who is the next name that you want to squeeze into our lineup?
I think it'd be fun, like you were saying, to try to build a lineup with two of the most expensive drivers and see
Okay,
who
so
you
is it
have
Larson or is it Hamlin? Or is it Byron?
I mean, Byron, you're guaranteed to have somebody that's at least starting from the front to begin with.
Yeah.
But, I mean, dominator points are not going to be huge here.
Let's go here.
All right.
So that means we have 7,100. So we can go with a Suarez or a Cindric. I think both make a hell of a lot of sense. And then we can keep rolling down, or we can start from the back, build it up, and see what we feel like doing. So, do we want to go Joey Hand or Eric Almirola?
Sorry, I lost service for a second.
No, it's okay. Joey Hand, Eric Almirola. Do we want to go up to Noah?
I feel like Almirola is the call. Like we were talking about, he's starting at the back of the pack, but he's too good of a driver to finish there. And I cannot picture a world where he's not finishing inside the top 30 this weekend.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. So Cindric or Suarez, who do you prefer?
Honestly, I'm gonna do the salsa. Let's go Daniel Suarez.
Okay, let's do it. And then that gives us 6,400. We can go Haley. We can go Stenhouse. We can go Joey Hand. We can go Todd Gilliland. We can go with your guy Ty Dillon. I think Joey Hand at 27, or we come way down and grab like Kvyat or something.
Oh man, let's go safer with Joey Hand. I feel like amongst the kind of like lesser known guys, he's probably the best road course racer of the crew.
Yep. So we have Suarez to get us points in the beginning. Elliott should be right there. We think Larson can get there. We think Chris Buescher can absolutely win this race. And then we just need Almirola and Joey Hand to squeeze out top 20-ishes. And we win all the money. So we did it, Brian. We will be millionaires. We will be staying in a penthouse when we're in Vegas instead of
my unfurnished
instead of
place.
your camping chair setup condo, which, don't get me wrong, sounds absolutely incredible. I'm very excited to partake in that. Let's go to the betting board and take a look. For those that did not see our episode on Thursday, I have 3 outrights currently. I have William Byron at 15-1. I have Chris Buescher at 25-1, and I have Michael McDowell at 30-1. Brian has 2, including Ryan Blaney at 16 and Chris Buescher at 25. With that being said, let's look at the odds. Chase Elliott has actually moved back a little bit. So if you were patient and you still like Elliott, I think grabbing the 6-1 instead of the 4.5 is
definitely
smash. Tyler Reddick hasn't moved very much. Larson really hasn't moved very much. Byron's number has basically cut in half. So that is, I'm glad I locked that in when I was able to. Dinger moved up. Joey Logano obviously moved up, qualifying on the pole.
So I'm gonna grab a Dinger the Ringer at 11-1. Just kind of getting to see him win Xfinity, qualify really good for the race on Sunday. I think we're gonna get a really good race out of him tomorrow.
Yeah, I grabbed a top 3 at plus 350 on Thursday, or we recorded on Wednesday.
Yeah,
I think I'm good there, but yeah, I like that call. I think top 3, top 5, even top 10, depending on the price, could make some sense. Same with Suarez. I think those all, and even Cindric too. I think those are all in play for having really strong performances. Blaney,
decent movement. Decent.
Yeah, he's shortening a little bit. I feel like Ross Chastain's definitely backed off, which I think is interesting. He was more like 12, 14, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I think it usually says. Yeah, he was like 15. So now, now he's 20, 22. I feel if I didn't have 3 outrights, I'd be really tempted because that feels like a really good number. He didn't qualify all that poorly. And I expect him to perform well. So I think that makes sense. Being able to grab 21 on Christopher Bell, I think, is interesting. Obviously, Hamlin's numbers backed off. Briscoe's numbers backed off. McDowell is about the same. So if you, like me, are still in on him, 31 is a really nice number. That's at FanDuel. Even 28, 25. Like I got 30 offshore. 25 is what we got for the pod. I'm not going to double dip, but I think it's a good number. Same with Chris Buescher. His number, I got him at 30. It quickly went to inside 20-1.
I got it at 25 for the show.
Yep, and now that it is qualified, not as great. It's backed off a little bit, so that's still a really good number. I think makes a lot of sense. I think grabbing top 3s and top 5s on him too makes a lot of sense. And I think, let's see, you grabbed? Let's see,
I had a top 10 at -110.
Yeah, we got top 10s. I might add a top 3 or top 5. Just because he's backed off a little bit and it might be a little more advantageous, but we can take a look at that. And then a bunch of guys that I don't think we have any confidence in actually winning outright. So we will skip that. Let's go to the top 3 market and just see really quick, and then we'll go hit top 10s, find some matchups, and get the hell out of here. I do have William Byron. I got it at plus 350 for a top 3, as well as the Dinger at plus 350. I got Michael McDowell at the top 5 at 4-1. So feeling pretty good about holding on to those, as Dinger is, 3-1 or inside. Byron's like closer to 2.5. Logano being priced here, considering where he's starting, and he does have a proclivity for actually like being really pretty solid at road courses, and
he'll get wrecked. Don't worry. It's happening.
Cindric and Suarez are both the plus 380 on Suarez. The top 3 is pretty nice.
Well, what's crazy is over at PointsBet and Caesars, Cindric is 4-1.
That's
to
nice.
top 3. That's a nice number.
That's a nice number.
Suarez is also 4-1 at PointsBet to top 3.
Oh yeah, we should make sure that those are all up to date, but I'm pretty sure they are.
Yeah.
At this point, we should be golden.
Oh, sorry, it was BetMGM, not Caesars.
That makes sense. Ross Chastain to like top 10 might be on the card.
Yeah, I don't think I could bet a top 3 on Ross Chastain, just knowing the amount of contact that he likes to to get, especially at the closing of these road races. Like he could wreck himself or take out the entire front pack.
Yeah, the Suarez number is really compelling. But I already have Dinger and Byron top 3 is a good numbers. I have McDowell top 5 a good number. It's hard for me to keep adding to that tight range.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to pepper the top 10 board and kind of squeeze out more than a few. Interesting numbers. -160 on the Dinger is a pretty nice bet. Obviously, it's moved, but if you still feel pretty confident about him, I don't hate that. -135 on Suarez. The top 10 is really nice.
Wow. I'm gonna go check and make sure that's
make
real.
sure that's live, because if it is, I'm gonna add it to the card.
We're gonna add that, both of us.
I like that number a lot.
They still got Dinger posted at -160, so
yeah,
they have Suarez -135. That's getting added for sure.
Yep. The Cindric number at -140 is pretty nice too. $35.
Let's see. Wow, you can still get Buescher. Buescher's went down, interestingly enough, -120, while Ryan Blaney's is at -135. So it got.
DK is hanging a -110 on Chastain. I'm gonna add that for sure. Let's do a little Trackhouse double up here.
That is a nice number on Chastain.
Yeah, and he didn't even qualify that poorly. He's just, I don't know.
Yeah, and then I took a quick peek at the top 5 market, and only because I already have 2 bets out on Blaney, I'm going to go to a different Penske guy. But Austin Cindric right now over at BetMGM is plus 225 to top 5,
That's
and I think
nice.
that's a pretty good number for a guy that runs really well at these.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
There's not a whole lot of number. I mean, you could get pretty exposed
Bubba
this week
at plus
into those.
350 to top 10 is pretty nice, especially because we saw him perform well in qualifying.
Yeah, but it's not the 14 or whatever the hell it was, or 11 to 1 that it was.
Fair. But what was it when the week started? Like 5?
Yeah, it was a decent number.
It was 425, so you can still get 350 at points bet. I don't hate it, but yeah, I mean, it's not the. I think once that happened, the books aren't going to get burned again like that.
Oh yeah, no.
Joey Hand to top 10 at 15 to 1 is kind of fun. 25 to 1 for Daniel Kvyat. I don't know why I keep trying to say his name. That's not working well for me. I think they both make some sense. Let's look at matchups. See if we can't find some values. Let's see.
So I already found one that I'm going to be. Suarez over Logano at minus 102 is going to be added.
Yeah, I mean, if you think he's going to crash, of course. It makes sense.
I mean, regardless of, I just don't like Joey Logano, so.
No, that's fair. Suarez over Hamlin. Yeah, no, it's worked for you in the past. No.
Whoa, what'd you get that at earlier in the week?
What?
That Kyle Larson, Elliott, did you take the bait?
I got it at plus 140. Now it's 155.
I don't know if I'd go back to it though.
Yeah, it's close enough for me. So I have Larson over Elliott plus 140. Our show bet is Buescher versus McDowell. And I have Cindric over Briscoe at minus 115. Feeling pretty good about that.
Damn, that's crazy. So the Buescher McDowell odds have completely flipped.
Yeah. Chastain versus Blaney is kind of fun. Plus 108. Oh, give it to me. I'm going to go Chastain over Blaney with our friends at FanDuel for plus 108. Larson over Reddick at plus money.
I do kind of like that, but I don't know. I haven't had any luck wagering on Larson really this year.
I'm a little gun shy after the last couple weeks.
Exactly.
Trying to Christopher Bell plus 110. Chris Buescher, yeah, totally flipped. Yep, that's hilarious.
Completely flipped around.
And then look at this number now. I got it at minus 115. Now it's minus 180.
And the thing, though, too, is like if you're just now seeing this, I feel like that's a good value bet because if Cindric has something go wrong, Briscoe's good enough at road courses that he could definitely finish ahead of him.
Yeah, it like honestly, if we were just spraying the board today, I probably would add this just because NASCAR's wild. Cars have issues. Wheels fall off. Things happen.
People have to remember this is an elimination race. 4 guys are going home. There's going to be some wild stuff.
Yep. All right, let's recap our card. Let's give the people a best bet, and let's get the hell out of here. So 3 outrights: Byron at 15 to 1, Buescher at 25, McDowell at 30. I have Buescher to top 10, McDowell to top 10, added Suarez and Chastain to top 10 at minus 135 and minus 110. I have William Byron and AJ Allmendinger to top 3 at plus 350. I have McDowell to top 5 at 4-1. I have Larson over Elliott from earlier in the week at 140. You can get that at 155. I like that better, but I'm not going to double down. I have Busher over McDowell. I got it at plus 100, or McDowell over Busher, rather. I got it at plus 100. I have Cindric over Briscoe at minus 115. That's now minus 180. Feel pretty good about that. And I took Chastain over Blaney just because it's plus 108, and it feels like those two guys are even enough where they have a high range of outcomes. Wild stuff could happen, and I could cash that pretty easily. Brian, break down your card. Give the people a best bet.
All right, so from the beginning of the week, I had 2 outrights on Blaney and Busher, both for a half a unit. I liked Busher a lot at minus 110 to top 10. I went 2 units on that. My best bet from earlier in the week was Blaney to top 10 at minus 140, and you can currently get that at minus 135 at FanDuel, so I would definitely be heading there for that. I had Blaney at a top 3 at plus 430 for a half a unit. And then our show bet, Busher over McDowell, I took the juice and I laid the minus 120, although now I could get it at plus 100. Today I added a dinger outright at 11-1, Suarez top 10, minus 135, Cindric top 5 at plus 225. I think that's a really good value. And then Suarez over one of my least favorite guys, Joey Logano, at minus 102.
Yep. I think that makes a lot of sense.
And I'm actually going to let you go first because I don't want to steal your best bet.
Oh, I don't think you are, because my best bet isn't even on your card.
Okay.
Do you remember my best bet from earlier in the week? I did not bold it. I will go back and listen if you don't remember, but
I
feel like it might have been one of these.
I think it might have been the McDowell.
Top 10?
Possibly.
Yeah, I'll go back and double check. I still love both those bets, but I'm going Ross Chastain to top 10. He didn't qualify that poorly. He is really good on these kind of tracks. Obviously, Trackhouse with Suarez looking really good. Had a nice week. I think they're both going to perform well tomorrow. And I'll take the minus 110 on a guy that I think can top 10 most, if not a good portion of the time.
Well, we've put the train on the track house today because my best bet is going to be a Daniel Suarez top 10 at minus 135.
Love it.
As the week went on, I felt like I missed out on grabbing this guy who's been incredible at road courses, 3 top 5s this year at these tracks. He was really good here last year in the team's first ever race at Charlotte Roval. I think Suarez is coming on strong. I think he has a legit shot to win today. So getting him at a top 10 at this long of a number is too good a value to pass up. And today it's the All Trackhouse Angle and Pursuit podcast.
I love it. So we can be in solidarity when they're both parked on the side of the road halfway through the race. But that's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. If you did enjoy the show, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't. As we've mentioned, we will be in Vegas for the race next weekend. Very excited from that. I will be right next to Brian, or probably in the other room so we don't get too much feedback, recording next weekend. If you are going to be at the race, please hit us up on Twitter. We'd love to come say hello. I think we're going to go to the Pockress tweet up, and we'll be obviously walking around, so you could come say hello if you see us. That's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. You guys enjoy the rest of your week and have fun watching the race.